Okay, 8:16. It's now 8:16, and it's still at 8 o'clock. It's now 6:17. We're coming out of closed session. Can I do the motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
I have a motion by Vice President Glennan. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a second by Director Wood. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. President Resigns?
Yes.
Vice President Glennan?
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart?
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallis?
Yes.
Director Greg Webb?
Yes.
Well, the record show there was a 5-0 vote to come out of closed session, and there was nothing to report from the closed session. And now we'll continue with the general session meeting, and I will open up with the public comments. This time, any person may address the board in any subject with interest, which is not on the agenda. However, any non-agenda matter will be referred to staff for a report and or action at a subsequent board meeting, and no action will be taken on any such item discussed once the action has been authorized under Section 5.954.2 Board of the Government Code. Any person may also address the board on any matter, agenda matter at the time the matter is discussed prior to board consideration and action. Speakers are requested to limit their comments to 5 minutes. It is now 6:18, and we open the floor for public comments.
Hearing none, I will give public comment.
You have the floor, sir.
I'm going to deviate from some of my dad's thoughts to, in the process of finding some other papers, I found this information about water district at Rosamond and kind of the history of it. And I thought it was very interesting. It's a little longer, but I'm going to read it. It's about George Hummel, who was born in 1887 and died in 1965. He was an American businessman and investor, resident engineer of Kern County, California. He was cited as the county pioneer and one of the legends of Antelope Valley. I doubt if anybody knows anything about him, even though he's considered a legend. He moved to Rosamond in 1939 and became the business manager of the Los Angeles Union Rescue Mission. A real estate investor and businessman, Hummel played a major role in the development of the water facilities in Rosamond in the 1930s and established the Rosamond Water Company. He was also one of the men responsible for building the Wayside Chapel. And that's the old one, way down there of Adobe. And was active in the running of local affairs, sitting on the board of the Rosamond Chamber of Commerce. He sold his water company to Sam L. Berg in 1951 when it had 125 customers.
That's Lee Berg?
Yep, Sam Berg. 125 customers. And my family was one of those 125 customers. The Rosamond Community Services District now provides water service and recreation and graffiti removal services, used to nearly 20,000 residents, covering our second largest community after Ridgecrest in Kern County. Following the sale to Berg, Hummel semi-retirement from his real estate business was remained active in local governance and commerce, serving as the board of Antelope Valley Progress Board of Trade Association and vice president of Lancaster Camp of the Gideons International until his death. His funeral was held on December 13, 1965 at Lumont Chapel in Lancaster with Reverend Norman C. Nelson of Wayside Chapel officiating. He was buried in Joshua Memorial Park of Lancaster and survived by his widow, Della, and Hummel Hall is named after her, and son, Walt. Of course, Walt passed away, and I got a lot of the Walt stuff, and that's where I got this information was from his son. But it started as Rosamond, what did I say? Water Company. Rosamond Water Company, and he sold it to Sam Berg in 39 with 125 customers. I'd be interested to know what he sold the water company for at that time.
No kidding, that's good.
But since It's hard to imagine that's how small the community was. 135 customers.
Yeah, the apartment complex is a bit.
That's just the whole part of town down there. But I thought that was really
That
interesting.
is interesting. Thank you for that. I guess you can never change history. Beat history because you always learn something. Thank you for that one. At this time, we'll continue with the voluntary public roll call, the telephone. Any member of the public on teleconference who wishes to identify themselves as present in this meeting may do so. We open the floor. It's now 6:22. Voluntary public roll call.
Hi, Rick. This is John Joyce for the Rosamond News and Rosamond E-News. Just back from Montana vacation.
Good for you. Hey, John, I got news for you. Charmaine is pregnant with twins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was interesting. She asked about you the other day, what she's still doing the paper, and I told her you were still up here. She's pregnant with twins, so.
I'm flattered. She's welcome back anytime.
John, whereabouts in Montana?
Butte,
Montana.
Mining town.
Does anyone else in the public roll call?
Yes, Tien with Kennedy James.
Good evening, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Good.
Anyone else? Okay, let's continue down to the minutes, and we have M1, M2, and M3, and so one's a regular board meeting, so I'm going to combine M1 and M2 and show the committee reports. So I get a motion for approval, M1 and M2, please.
So moved, Byron.
I have a motion by Vice President Glennan. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a second by Director Wood. May I get a roll call vote, please?
President Rick Webb,
Yes.
Vice President Byron Glennan,
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart,
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallis,
Yes.
Director Greg White.
Yes.
Will the record show that M1, the approve of the June 27th, 2022 Sewer Committee meeting minutes, and the June M2, the approve the June 27th, 2022 Finance Committee meetings. There was a 5-0 vote for the approval of both of them. We'll move down to M3, and that's the June 22nd regular board meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Vice President Glennan, I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a second by Director Wood. May I get a roll call vote, please?
President Rick Webb,
Yes.
Vice President Byron Glennan,
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart,
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallis,
Yes.
Director Greg White.
Yes.
For the record show for M3, the June 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting minutes, there was a 5-0 vote for approval. We'll continue down to presentation. This is the water reclamation plan update, and we have our senior wastewater treatment plant operator, Ryan. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you all. Good evening.
Evening, sir.
I'll start off with the wastewater treatment plant expansion update. I'd like to point out that Tim from Kennedy Jinx is on the phone to answer any detailed questions or concerns that I cannot. Monday, July 11th, we began introducing seed sludge from the Avenue D wastewater treatment plant in Lancaster. Personnel from KJ Pacific Hydrotech and Power Check Environmental were on site to help facilitate this. We began introducing wastewater to the facility with the wastewater seed sludge, and we encountered some unexpected complications. Throughout the week, staff have worked to correct the issues, and by the end of the week, we believe that the issues will be resolved. Monday, July 18th, we are expected to finish hauling the seed sludge from the Avenue D site and move to complete the 30-day startup test. I'd like to report a large weight has been lifted from, I think, all of our shoulders, as I'm pleased to report the HVAC system to keep the air conditioner, or to keep the blower room cool, has been completed, as well as the ducting for the blower exhaust. So I think we can all feel comfortable knowing that the room will be cool, and it is. I'm pleased to say that food and oxygen are being provided to the organisms in the aeration basin, and we're developing and growing a healthy microbial mass to treat the wastewater of Rosamond. Moving on with the staff report, The last 2 weeks, the staff has been working with other members to facilitate the startup. We replaced some valves pertaining to the grid removal system. We also performed quarterly monitoring samples on 5 of our 12 monitoring wells, as well as one of our ponds. And we've been running process controls on the seed sludge and FM ratios to see how our organisms are growing and developing in this time. And that's all I have for my report, unless anyone has any further questions.
I just want to give you a compliment. Since you've kind of taken over the lead out there doing the presentations, information, and I see each time you show up here, the confidence level of yours is building up, which tells me your skill level is building. So I commend you on that, and I salute you on the progress you're making with that.
Thank you. I'm trying to work on it, become better.
You're doing a good job. So whatever you're doing, just keep pushing forward. You're doing a good job on that.
Thank you.
Sir.
When he started this project, the hair on his head was longer than his beard.
You know, Ryan, I chuckled when you said that you ran into some problems. It's like, really? Wow, what a shocker. You know, because that's just part of the startup process. You're going to run into little glitches all the time. The only question I've got, maybe it's too early to ask, but what are your projections for getting everything dialed in? Are you still looking at about a 6-week, 8-week window, or you think it might take a little longer?
No, I truly believe we're looking, I'll give you a long, I believe that 8 weeks would be a long scenario. However, what I can tell you is our permit from Lahontan gives us a 30-day startup with Pacific Hydrotech and Kennedy Jinks running the facility. After that 30-day startup, we have 3 months to produce a quality effluent out to the perk ponds. We've been granted more than enough time. We will 150% meet those requirements. However, I think we can even do better than that. I project once we get all the seed sludge, we're introducing influent wastewater, I think we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks. However, as I said, our timeline we've been provided is much more gracious than that.
What do the nitrate levels look like they're going to end up being when you're all done?
From my experience of running the plant before, ammonia were 0, nitrates are below 5. Our permit calls that we have to be below a 10 on average.
Below 5? Wow, that's pretty good.
I can produce reports. You know, we ran the plant for 8 months as a pilot test a couple years back. And my reports from that were excellent. We should have no problem meeting our permit requirements at all. The only difference from previous years of running is now you'll have 2 aeration basins, 2 clarifiers. Those will present complications in operation. However, I'm ready to meet those, and I don't see any problems meeting our goals.
That sounds very, very, very promising and good. I'm here to. I love that 5% number. Maybe even with some tweaking of the aeration system, you might even be able to get that number down a little lower than that even.
We were, I haven't looked at those reports in quite a while. We've been focusing, but I want to say I was down in 2s to 3s, sometimes down into 1s and 0.6.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Next time I come at the next board meeting, I'll bring a couple of my effluent reports, and you guys can take them and look through them. I would like to point out, I know throughout this whole project, there has been delays. Some could have been avoided, depending on how you look at it. But I would like to state that with a project this large, especially getting to the end where we are now all the little I's have to be dotted and the T's have to be crossed. All the little knots have to come together. And that's where we currently are right now. And that's where we are.
Speaking with confidence, I like that. It's just with confidence, I like that, because you know it's going to work.
It's going to work. It's going to work.
Good.
We're trying to finish up the problems Granted, nothing severely goes, we're on the road. We have already began feeding. The process is already starting. We have a couple little hiccups that we're working through, and next week we begin to finish up. Like I said, at that point we'll complete the 30-day test, and then as far as Lahontan is concerned, after that 30-day test we have 3 months, which we'll meet that with no problem.
Are you meeting everything as far as your automation? Was everything working in sync? I know there were some concerns on that. Is that being kind of cleared up a little bit at a time?
Being worked on.
Okay.
We are moving forward. Progression is moving forward. Best I can tell you is it is being worked on.
Well, that process takes time, right? You know, and it's getting everything balanced out to where it's all working like a fine clock. It takes time to get. That's why they give you 90 days to get all that stuff dialed in, and every component in the plant is working like it's supposed to. And they know it takes time to dial it in, but it sounds like you guys are doing a fantastic job on getting that ready to go.
Well, we are trying.
I've got to say I've been spending a lot more time out there from one, it's something can go wrong, it will. And every time I go out and if there is an issue, Ryan's got it, in front of him and trying to handle it, getting it done, doing what it takes to do it. And I've got to say his crew out there is working fabulous.
Are we going to set up, Steve, of having a linked computer system at Ryan's home to where he can make adjustments into the SCADA system from his house, to where if he doesn't have to come in here at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to make adjustments, that he can make the adjustments from home, and to where we don't lose that delicate balance.
Well, I think that would be a Cadillac program to have. It would be a perfect scenario if we could afford to put that in. I don't believe it's on the drawing board at this point, but it's going to come with some cost.
Can we look into that and bring it back as a capital project? Because that way it can, because if our chief operator can sit there and do some tweaking from his own house, it saves time, and it could be the difference between the plant upsetting or not upsetting as well.
If there's no further questions, I'm finished with my presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue down to the Director Reports Committee. Director Reports, comments, and agenda items. Hey, we have the replanting update. Director Stewart, you there?
I am.
Okay, so remember you had talked briefly a while back about redoing the color scheme and all for the district. That's still kind of your baby. You want to still run with that, or you want to kind of push it over to staff and support help staff with it, or what?
I spoke with Steve with it a couple weeks ago, and he was working on a design. I haven't seen one recently, but I think he had a pretty good idea what I was trying to get across. I don't know if you presented it recently. Steve?
Is that the logo?
Yeah, the logo, the color, the color scheme.
I never got a response back if the final that I sent you was good to go with.
Yeah, can we push it one more week and let me go through my emails and take a look at it?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I like the color scheme you had brought up. We had discussed it. So yeah, we're good on that. So we still have you here. So with the director, before you have anything like to report on or share with the community or the board?
No, I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. Director Wallis?
No, I don't have anything.
Director Wood?
I just kind of want to report, attended the ABEC meeting last night, and it was an interesting meeting. There was a lot of discussion. about the the DWR dry water project, and it looks like AVEC is going to have to dip into that to meet their needs because of them only getting a 5% allotment and the reservoirs being down, and just water is in short supply. And I don't want to go into all the details of the meeting, but there was one exchange that I thought was very enlightening. And that was one of the AVEC directors asked a hypothetical question as the general manager that what if one of their customers comes to AVEC because they need more water this year and because they don't have enough to meet their needs. And it was stated that they would have to go and try to find the water on their own. That they would have to reach out to their neighbors and neighboring communities or neighboring agencies to see if there's any temporary water, carryover water, things of that nature that they could purchase to get them through this drought episode that we're going through. And he said that AVEC just doesn't have the water. They can't meet the needs, and that it's going to be rough this year for some people. And it was stated also that, as a reminder, that AVEC is a supplemental water source. And I breathed such a sigh of relief when I heard this exchange, and thinking that this agency has been working hard over the last 4 years to go out and find water wherever we can. And we were able to purchase enough water on the open market to where today, as we stand, that we have enough water to meet our community's needs, not only today, but next year and the year after that in perpetuity. So, I feel so good that this board and our general manager have worked so diligently to get us in the position where we are today, to where we're not going to be one of those agencies that has to go looking for water when there is none. We prepared, we executed, and now we are in a good position to where this community has water and they don't need to worry about it. It'll be here today, it'll be here tomorrow for them. And I just wanted to point that out and say thank you to my fellow board members, and to say thank you to our general manager and staff for all the hard work that has been put forth the last 4 years on getting this water. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Director Glennan?
This kind of ties into the one of the comments that we had I listened to the meeting also, was talking about, and I believe it was LA, their water restrictions that they're going to begin to impose. And I think we can look forward to the state of California attempting to impose some water restrictions on us. Anyway, I wanted to just make a couple comments. The base year was moved from 2013 to 2020, which how they can justify moving the base year, like moving the goalposts, further back. And another thing that we need to throw into the hopper that other districts are not doing, we're going to not pump 1,000 acre feet, 1,200 acre feet of water. We are going to pump it, but it's water that we're putting in the ground. Other districts are not doing that. They're just pumping the water or we're creating what's called new water. And I think that's kind of unique for a community in California. You might want to be able to speak to that, Steve, but I think we need to be aware of that when we have to set some kind of restrictions for our customers, that we're not like other districts in that we're creating water by reusing to some degree our sewer water, recirculating it and adding to the water table, not importing it from Northern California.
Well, you know, to follow up on that water there, the comments you have, Director Glennan. I was on a webinar before I came to the meeting, and they were talking about water use and water conservation. And it was interesting how these other districts, they were talking about all these other places at level 2. You know, I asked Lizette, she said we're at level 2 because it's kind of a state mandate. We've been saving water for forever. And the other part that I think is kind of interesting, you know, you said how we put water back into the ground. These big municipalities aren't doing it. Their pockets are deep enough. They just go by the old towns as the WP, and they bring it over the hills. But the interesting part, we conserve. And I know we've said it several different ways, but the more I hear some of these presentations talking about water conservation, smaller districts conserve for the bigger districts to have more greater access. Because our conservation, I know it helps our basin, but then we have big guys in our basin that take advantage of that. So it's just kind of interesting. I mean, whoever thought, I remember, God rest his soul, Jack Stewart years ago said, no, they used to say they're whiskeys for drinking, the water for fighting over. And guess what? 2 words and never been spoken. So, but
I've been to several different parks in Lancaster watching softball, and they're all very green and watered very well.
Yeah, everywhere I go, like I said, when I'm down the road working, I will say one thing, everyone's going to that synthetic turf grass. That's the hot topic. Our grass out here, I told you when I came in, Lizette, you and brought props to you. That thing's as green as it wants to be. And you said we're not using tons of water, and so folks got to get the word on that. That looks very nice. And in the environment we're in now, that's a plus for us. But
I may add to that comment before you get away from that we get blasted about when are we going to shut the water off. Well, that watering is purposely done because that is a demonstration of what you can do with the amount of water or the type of grass that's out there. We, because of COVID, have to step back and not be able to push that to our customers as we had intended to from the beginning. But that shows what you can do with grass. One style of grass costs you this much. The other is less because this is the type. And then the one that's furthest to the east of that is the rock garden, and that doesn't. And it's intended to show people what they can do with different types of water and how they can save or conserve.
Well, that, like I said, that one now, I remember when Lizette and Brock were coordinating that effort out there, and that looks as good as any line you want to see.
And Tom keeps it up.
There we go. Awesome. And the other part I think that's really interesting now, people are talking about conservation like it's such an effort. I think everyone does a little bit. No one district has to do a whole lot. Because I know, how long we've been doing our part now since 2013? When did we start conserving?
Well, it's before that.
10?
10, I think.
10 maybe? Yeah, we've been meeting that number, so good for us. All right, well, we'll continue the effort. Legal counsel John Comer, you have anything for us, sir?
Not tonight, sir.
All right, thanks, sir. Steve, general manager's update you have before, sir.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. And my comments are right in line with everybody else's. But in regard to the discussion I had with Director Wood last evening, I prepared this water usage report because what I had learned in regard to AVAC's meeting was the high cost of water and a higher cost of water than even I had anticipated this soon. The market price was, $2,500 for for the market for the H&S water. And so we're looking at this not only as a conservation type of situation based on the drought, but also a monetary impact. And each time we have to buy this type of water, it is more cost to our ratepayers, ultimately, each and every one of us. So I wanted to report to date, as of June, we have purchased 77.4 acre-feet of AVAC water. Now, there are times that we utilize AVAC water because we may have to shut part of our system down, and we have to keep the water flowing, so that is the source that we would draw from. In previous years, in 21, we had 111 acre-feet. 2020 was very little, 11.6, and it starts dropping from there. We got into this because of the ramp down, partially, and because we had not built our inventory as vibrant of carryover water that we have today. So with that, I just wanted to report on that. And I was told that Director Dias had made the comment about being a supplemental water source at AVAC. It was because of comments that were told to us years ago when we were facing the beginning of the ramp or the conservation within the drought structure, that AVAC said they could not guarantee our water. And with that, we began having to start preparing to secure a water source for the community of Rosamond. And that's why we have been out buying water, because we could not wait to the last minute and pay $2,500 an acre foot of water, those prices, each and every year for the same water we were using. What we did is we bought water at one time, but we get it in perpetuity or forever, and as long as it's available in the basin. And I may point out that the whole adjudication was to determine how much water could be drawn from this basin and allow recharging to occur and not overdraft the basin. We have been working towards that end, and we brought up recharging the basin. That is all brand new. It's brand new. It's we're putting water back into the basin. We're finding a way to heal the basin and not rape the basin. And we will produce a tremendous amount of water that will go towards that end. Not to mention what we have, you in the community have conserved. That is tremendous what you have done. And it brings me up to another point. One size does not fit all. When we address water conservation, community of Rosamond, you've done one hell of a job to do that. You've addressed that issue, and we, as an agency working together, have found a way that we could assist that recharge. So, all in all, we get credit for water we would have had to buy by recharging. That saves us, in today's dollars, about $10.8 million. So when we look at our cost of building the plant, we actually are saving the district a tremendous amount of money, and that plant is the reason why we're getting the credit and able to save that kind of money. So with that, it's the district's request that our users of water who have gone above and beyond to answer the conservation challenge now to become water stewards, as they are more conscious of the real effects of the drought and have become efficient water users. Keep up the good work. It's the district's intent to pay close attention to rising costs of water and to minimize our use of high-priced water, and thus saving our ratepayers unnecessary increases.
And Steve, yeah, you're right about all that, but you also have to mention that you turn around and sell the acreage, and that also saves money. You know, because a lot of these deals come with acreage that you turn around and been able to resell and get sold off.
I'm glad you brought that up because that property that came with the last purchase is on the market now.
There we go, Steve. Absolutely. It's not exact science, but it's working. So.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the report there. We have Director of Administration, Lizette Guerrero. You have the floor.
Good evening. My venture started with the district on October 1st, 2007. Over the years, I was given the opportunity to grow professionally and move into different positions while taking on additional responsibilities. I am grateful to have had the opportunity to have worked with a talented and dedicated team. After being employed for almost 15 years with Rosamond Community Services District, my chapter here at the district has come to an end. I wish you all the best for the future. And I have a very good for tonight.
I have a question. Will you still take care of any of my iPad issues?
Sure. I'm just a phone call away.
Yeah. So I guess that's cool. That's coming to the community, guys. You know, but if you're taking another position, I will say two things. Thank you very much for the effort. Thank you for the insight. And whatever you do from this point forward, good luck on it. One of the things I always reference to a lot of people here is institutional knowledge. You replace people, but you can't replace the institutional knowledge. And I always think since we've been board members, I've had the luxury of having Steve, if I can say I brought him on board. And I worked with you back in Director Stewart, she and George was here. So you've been an insight for me on things. You're very efficient in those things there. And you've corrected me enough. So I'm good on that one there.
Lizette, I want to take this opportunity to say that I remember when you came on the board and you looked very frightened, very unsure of yourself, but you were also had the look of determination and anticipation to grow and contribute any way you can. And it's been a pleasure to work with you over the years. You have been a great asset to this agency. And while I know that you are going off for bigger and greater opportunities, that doesn't make us feel any better to lose you. And but all I can do is just wish you the best in your future endeavors. And thank you very much for your dedication and your hard work over the years.
Thank you.
Let's move on down to Public Works. John, you on?
Yes.
Good evening, sir. You have the floor.
Good evening. Thank you. So the Public Works Department, all of the employees in the Public Works have completed their annual safety training.
We paid these.
Pardon?
No, we for your personal ones. I already paid the church. And we're all good with our talk to Joe and them. Whatever we paid.
Director Wallis, you need to mute your line there, sir. John's giving a presentation.
Also, they've completed the monthly meter reading. They've repaired several leaks and continue on the sewer cleaning. And that's all I have.
Thank you there, John. Okay, before adjournment, any others? I would like to make one closing comment on this to our media folks there. Thank you guys. You know, you guys you're kind of that quiet little warrior behind the scenes, but I know for a fact every time we ask for something to go out, Steve and Lizette hits you guys up to go out there, to get that information out. I think because of the timeliness of it, it helps us kind of fight off certain things and keeps the folks informed. So I'd like to tell you folks, thank you very much for that, because you guys supporting us is a big to-do, because everything's modern age technology now. It just happened 2 minutes ago. That's really old news. So thank you guys for keeping us in the forefront.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting us be part of it.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. With that, may I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion by Vice President Glennan. May I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by Director Wood. May I get a roll call vote, please?
President Request?
Yes.
Vice President Baron Glennan?
Yes.
Director Beth Stewart?
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallis?
Yes.
Director Greg Wood?
Yes.
For the record, show there was a 5-0 vote for adjournment at 6:57.